Alright friends, welcome back to the channel. Kevin here with a video update. So I was covering the Kingsguard video, doing the chronological order from the beginning to what we currently have, and you notice something when you look at the list of Kingsguard and you realize that none of them are from the north. And then you start looking deeper and you think, oh, well, there's not really many knights in the north to begin with. And we're going to talk about that. It's obviously, if you know, but some people don't know. So just being a knight in general is one of like the most iconic things you can do in Westeros. You've got the shiny armor, the fancy horses, yada yada. But if you travel to the north, past the twins, there's really nothing. And a few people come to name and we'll talk or come to mind when you start talking about this. We'll talk about those in a few, but we're going to start with why the North has so few knights. So, a knight doesn't just mean warrior. It's a specific title tied to the Faith of the Seven. And if you guys know, the North still kind of does the whole old gods thing, prays and worships around trees. That doesn't really go hand in hand with knighthood. And since knighthood is a religious order, basically, under the Faith of the Seven, most Northerners just don't see the use in it. And again, there's a few, but it's kind of like a, well, if you're going to give it to me, I'll take it, but I'm not really going to, do too much to earn it. Or they did a bunch to earn it, but they're not really going to give up their faith to do anything. They'll take their vow. They'll be like, oh, cool, see you when I see you. And now we're going to get to the people who are actually knights that happen to be in the north. And then I'll end with the same way I ended my short with my book / Kevin theory about House Manderly. So Sir Roderick Cassel, Master Armor Winterfell. He's probably one of the more famous knights in the north during the TV show and books. He's fiercely loyal to House Stark, trains their children, and unlike most Northerners, he did indeed take the vows of knighthood, more than likely in his youth, because in the TV show, he's kind of old. You have a bunch of, I don't know how to explain it. You have Jorah Mormont, House Mormont, Bear Island. Yes. And when I was thinking about this, you think a lot of the sirs, if you will, in the north, and a lot of them reside in the Night's Watch. They are kind of like holdovers from, oh Lord, Robert's Rebellion. They were on the wrong side, so they got sent to the wall. Anything that kind of went through before Robert died, if you did something, to the wall. It is what it is. And this is where I'm going to bring up my House Manderly theory. As you know, House Manderly isn't actually a northern house. I believe they're from the Reach. And they were brought to the north after being, kicked around and exiled. And House Stark just said, yo, build us a bomb port city and here's the land to do it. So House Manderly actually, they're cool with the north. They're part of the north. But at the same time, they don't worship the old gods. They worship the Faith of the Seven. And because they come from the Reach. I'm sorry, I'm trying to read my script while also winging it because that's how I operate. They migrated north 1,000 years ago, and they brought with them and kept their southern customs. So while it fields knights, which is unheard of in the north, I think there's probably more knights being fielded by House Manderly or are in House Manderly than anywhere else in the north combined. Because you want your sons to be knighted. If you are a fancy house, that's what you want for them. And Sir Willis Manderly, heir to White Harbor, in the books he's a knight, and he's the eldest son of Lord Wyman Manderly, and he was captured in the early days of the War of the Five Kings. He never appears in the shows. You have, oh Lord, Sir Donnell Manderly, known as Donnell of the Horn. He's sworn knight to the family. And Sir Theomore Manderly, he's another knight. And like I said, right there, those three, I think I covered 2 other ones that were in the north. So they have 3 in one house, first 2 total in the rest of the North. There's a few others. I found a Sir Bartimus of, I believe it was the Knight Fort. He was a book only, and he was an aging knight, another probably knighted in his youth during one of the earlier wars. There's like I said, I already covered them. There's a bunch of knights in the Night's Watch doing their, their service after doing something dumb or supporting the wrong person. But this is where we're going to stop with that and talk about why there's no knights from the North in the Kingsguard. Religion and tradition was my first point that I wrote down. They take their vows before the Faith of the Seven, and since most Northerners, worship the old gods, doesn't matter to them. 2, geography and politics, and I think this is the biggest problem with why there's no Northern Knights in the Kingsguard. The North is far as shit from King's Landing, and historically, the Starks don't care about the South, just straight up. Their bannermen are loyal to Winterfell, not the Iron Throne. And like all of the other places that are just overflowing with ambitious knights seeking, like, I don't know, Achilles level fame. Obviously, I'm crossing real life with this, but they want to be that name that is remembered forever. And the Reach, the Stormlands, the Westerlands, the Crownlands, they're just overflowing with these type of people, where the North, they have a couple knights, but most people be like, yeah, the Starks or the Kings, you guys are just kind of here. And then you have, I wrote down the Stark way, where it's not necessarily they don't want to knight people, they don't want to do XYZ. They're just not pompous assholes. Like, the Northern warriors often prefer serving their houses or the North rather than abandoning, because if you join the Kingsguard, you can't have kids, you can't have a wife, you give up all your titles and land. In the North, why would you give up what you had, any titles you had, any land you had, any family you had, to go serve 1,000 miles away at the capital until you die? It's not worth that for anybody in the North. They breed warriors in the North, not Kingsguard knights. So if somebody ever tells you there are no knights in the North, you can tell them that I told you that there's like a handful and that they will never be in the Kingsguard. Also, just a caveat to this, with the geographical, less so the political part of this. If you are a king coming up in the Crownlands, if you are a prince, a second son, a first son, a third son, you never know with the Targaryens and then the Baratheons. You never know who's going to be king, but you know the bloodline is going to be king, and you're growing up in that area. So more than likely, some of the people that would be interested in the Kingsguard, I don't want to say are like your boys, but like people that you've seen come and go through the capital. You've seen them fight in tourneys near the capital. So the chances of you randomly picking a random, Bear Island knight to be in the Kingsguard, slim to none. Absolutely slim to none. Nobody's going to do that because they don't know who you are. So take that for what it is. That's why there's no knights very few knights in the North. There's no Northerners in the Kingsguard. It just is what it is. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. I know this is a little shorter one compared to like the 20-something minute one I just did, but that's it. Everybody have a good rest of your day. Peace.